To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. Jay here, positivesarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful and sunny seacoast. For entertainment purposes only. Like, subscribe, share, donate. Positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can go directly to my website, positivesarcasm.com. You can contact me there. Simple as that. If you want to hit me up on the Instagram, you can do that too, at @positive_sarcasm. But if you want to just email me directly for any concerns, questions, comments, requests, you just email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. It's as simple as that. It's very easy to get a hold of me, and I'm generally pretty good about responding. So, like I said, just go right ahead. You know, if it's something stupid, I don't know. Like I said, that's how you do that, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Like I said, beautiful day here in New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Lots to talk about, but I wanna. I don't know, how do I want to put this across? I'm not the best with words, even though I've been doing this for like fucking 10 years at this point. When I present an article to you, sorry I missed last week. I wasn't feeling great on Sunday. Speaking of not feeling great, I went and gave blood again the other day. I didn't gave blood. I kind of sold it. You know, I give them my blood, and then they give me like a gift card. It's like a nice little thing. It's an easy transaction. And I also do it for health reasons, with the reduction of blood clots and things like that. And if they do identify something in the blood, they can at least tell me about it. But other than that, it's a little bit of money. It's good for my health. And I also get like a quick screening. And since the beginning, since I started doing it, my blood pressure has dropped dramatically. And I've been obviously doing other things since I had like the health event, which was all stress related, by the way. They took my, they did my blood pressure again. And now it's 104/66, 104/66, which means my blood pressure is going way down. I mean, I'm really happy too, to hear that. It's like I'm genuinely making actual progress on my health and wellness, to the point where like that is long gone. That's the concern. The next thing I'm going to focus on now is my lower back. That's going to be my next challenge, is to open that up and loosen that up, because it's very tight. It's very tight. I'm always in pain. I use a inversion table, and now I got to do the stretches, and I really got to focus on opening that up and straightening up my posture and strengthening those muscles so that I don't have this problem. Because it's hindering workouts and things like that. But that's my next objective, because I already conquered the first one, which is my concerns about my heart health and my overall cardiovascular health, which has been getting amazing. It's amazing now. Like, my cardio is now 4 days a week. I'm working out nearly every single day, whether it's cardio or weightlifting or whatever, every single day. So instead of just going to I went to the doctor's once, and I ended up with a declined fucking bill, which I'm never paying. Why? Because fuck them. Fuck the insurance companies. But I saw a problem, and I chose to attack it the proper way, the healthy way. Like, there's a problem. Let's do some research. Do your own research. Do your own research. I did my own research and solved the problem. Figured out what the problem was and fixed it. It was a problem that I created due to not getting enough sleep, due to stressing too much about certain things, and that cumulative effect spun out of control. And yeah, but now we're here. So we've fixed that problem. So my thought is, if I'm going to present something that's going on in the world that seems to be of a big deal, and like, this is a problem, okay, I want to at least present, like, if this thing, if a bullet point that I present to you has actually already been offered or already been produced, well then great, awesome. I can only do so much research because I miss these things sometimes. But as a whole, I want to offer, if I'm going to present a problem, I want to propose some solutions. And this is the only time I'm ever going to propose solutions is through my content. I'm not going to sit here every single day and bitch, moan, and complain like you guys should do this, that, and the other thing. It's like, no. I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it strongly. And then I'm going to move on with my life. And this is the only place where I'm going to talk about it. Unless I am being hired in a consulting on a consultant basis. Other than that, I'm not going to waste my time. I have better things to do. It's a beautiful day out. I want to finish what I'm doing here and move on with what else I need to do. I have ideas in my head that I'm cooking up, and I want to focus some time on that. But I'm only going to say it once. Okay? Unless there's something that can move the story forward, or there's an initiative that actually gets some interest. I'm going to say it once. Propose solutions instead of just bitching, moaning, and complaining. Offer something. Like, okay, well, you think this is a problem? What do you think we should do about it? And whether it's asinine or not, I don't know. I'm going to jump into these subjects and see if there's something that can be done. So, like, one of the concerns I have right now is with farming. Okay? I feel like there's some issues with the, like, for example, there's a lot of problems with, let's see here. I got a list. Farming goes, there's an issue with factory farming. There's an issue with ag-gag laws. There's an issue with outside sources of people taking over, like people from outside, from other countries buying up farmland. There's a problem with Bill Gates buying up farmland. There's no access to a lot of the big farms. There's no auditing system that the public can see. There's a lot of things that I have here. I mean, animal treatment, as far as tax breaks per se for the farmers, that it doesn't. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't, and it's a mess for them to the point where it's too expensive to farm. Not only, I mean, in this country, but in other countries, it's impossible. There's no way to make money. And yet, this is the only way we're getting food on the table. They're proposing like lab grown food be put on our table. Like, why are we doing that? Like, would it be beneficial to have lab grown per se, I don't know, vegetables, tomatoes maybe? I don't know. Believe me, my eyelids get a little tweaky when I hear the idea of lab grown food. But as far as lab grown meat, no. Don't sign me off on that. I'm all set. There is, I mean, I understand that there are foods that have been genetically modified. Now, GMO can mean so many different things. Like genetically modifying a food. Like, well, okay, what if we take this strain and this strain of food and we put it together and we notice that this tomato apparently does better in these conditions and is resistant to these diseases, but it doesn't grow well in the winter or something. But then we take this tomato, which actually grows well in colder climates, but it isn't resistant to those things. So if we can put them together, maybe we can have a tomato that can be grown a lot more of the in a much longer season, that is resistant to these items, but has no threats to the consumer. Okay, that would fall under genetically modified. But I could see that as being safe. So when it comes to GMO, it's like, they're just using, key words to get your attention, like organic. Like, what is organic? Like, it's hilarious. They like Driscoll's. Driscoll makes they distribute like strawberries and blueberries and fruits and stuff. And apparently their food is full of poisons and toxins that cause cancer. So it's like, oh, great. You know, can we reduce that? Can we reduce that? But first, the first thing that triggered me to bring this topic up was, you know, obviously I have this thing with Bill Gates with some of the things that he's done when it comes to, like, you know, his vaccine organization. This is a man they say he's a philanthropist, but I think he's more of a problem child at this point for everything that he's doing and the amount of money that he's getting through his, quote, foundation. I love if you put foundation in front of something and automatically your brain, it's a trigger for, like, saying, oh, this is a good thing. Oh, he's got a foundation. Oh, wow. For helping, what, sick kids or something? It's like, no, it's like the Clinton Foundation, the Gates Foundation. It's like, in my opinion, if there's smoke, there's fire. And to me, there's like an $8 billion fire with the Gates Foundation here. Especially, there has been so many people that have died allegedly in his clinical tests, the work that he did in Africa, and to the point where, and I'll read it to you, and I want to get back to the Bill Gates farming. Actually, I want to kind of move towards that. Let's see, Bill Gates and farming issues, and see where that lands. So why National Farmers Union stop Gates from grabbing up the farmland? It's everywhere. Why is there? Okay, Bill Gates invests in lab-grown baby formula. There's something wrong with him. Clearly, there's a lot to be concerned about with his gobbling up the farmland. Like, he is the largest private owner, approximately 270 to 275,000 acres across 19 states. It's called Cascade Investments. That's his firm. While Gates states these acquisitions are purely financial investments unrelated to his climate initiatives, which also have some questions behind them, the scale of his ownership has sparked significant debate regarding food sovereignty, corporate consolidation, and agricultural practices. So the corporate consolidation was something that I talked about with Cargill and Tyson Foods and those big meat conglomerates that are really putting a hurt on the meat industry, specifically red meat, which is one of the most nutritious forms and most nutrient dense forms of animal product that you can consume. And shining a light on this, obviously my thoughts are break them up. And we have it. We have monopoly laws for a reason. And unfortunately they're not being followed. They're not being brought up. These people are, and there's something has to give here. But Bill Gates, obviously owning 275,000 acres of farmland, raises some eyebrows. Why? Because I don't think, from all the articles and stuff that I don't think he has the best intentions. I don't think he does. Critics argue that Gates promotes industrial agriculture that threatens small farmers and ecosystems. This is courtesy of author Sean Bruner and organizations like the African Center for Biodiversity. They accuse Gates of pushing patented seeds, which a lot of places do that. Patented seeds, synthetic fertilizers and GMOs to monopolize the food supply, alleging this approach degrades soil and increases farmer vulnerability to climate shocks. Yeah, obviously, if you put like a lot of nitric or something into the soil, apparently it makes the food grow faster, but it drains the soil of all of its nutrients, so you can't really regrow things. I remember my mother; she just sold her property down in South Carolina. She had next to it, she had like a farm that was, it would, 1 year it'd be soybeans, the next year it'd be corn, and they would till the soil and put something in there so it wouldn't drain the soil or something to that nature. But that nitric, whatever it is, there's a problem. Obviously, you don't want to drain the soil of all of its nutrients so it can't be regrown. You want something that's more sustainable, and we talked about that. And I have that on my bullet point here of access to more sustainable farming, the promoting of more sustainable farming. I know that Jeremy Clarkson, formerly of Top Gear and the Grand Tour, and now Clarkson's Farm, I don't know if he does sustainable farming or whatnot, but I know he took up a farm and he's doing a lot of the work. He's also, advocating for farmers in the UK and things like that. And, good on him. Ultimately, a great man, a flawed man, but ultimately a man of the people. He's made amazing content for over 3 decades. 3 decades. Let's see, when did they first start? In the early 2000s is really like late 90s, early 2000s when Top Gear really took off with the big 3, Jeremy, Richard, and James. He did many things before that, but I mean, just spectacular for what he's doing now with Clarkson's Farm that's available and streaming on Amazon. And to me, the exact opposite of Bill Gates is Jeremy Clarkson. I'd say Robert F. Kennedy, but ultimately he's doing it from a political standpoint. He's more of a lawyer, but I think a person who's worth a lot of money, who's a big personality and a big figure, who's doing good things is Jeremy, and the opposite, the questionable person who has a lot of money and is a big figure, who's questionable though, is Bill Gates. I'd say they don't see eye to eye. I would say that, just from an assumption standpoint. Let's get some of this coffee down. What else? In Africa, where the Gates Foundation has invested billions via the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, studies cited by critics claim the initiative failed to improve food security or incomes for smallholders, with some faith leaders calling for reparations for environmental damage. There's an argument to be had. Supporters and Gates himself contend that the modern agricultural technologies are essential to solving global hunger and preventing deforestation. Okay. Gates has argued that productive seeds and efficient farming can help Africa cope with climate difficulties. However, concerns persist among U.S. farmers and advocacy groups like the National Farmers Union that non-farming corporate ownership drives up land prices, pricing out beginning farmers, and reducing incentives for long-term conservation. Legislative proposals such as the Farmland for Farmers Act has been introduced to limit corporate ownership and increase transparency in land holdings. I want to focus in on that, actually, for a minute. Okay. This is from the NFU.org, so it is biased. But, I mean, maybe biased for a reason. Sometimes it's okay to be biased. So why are farm owners, or farmers worried about Bill Gates and other non-farming landowners? 240, so he's 240,000 acres. We talked about that. 1/3 the size of Rhode Island. Whatever. Everything is 1/3 the size of Rhode Island. The news was did he go really? So when asked about the purchases during a recent Ask Me Anything, now note this was in 2021, on Reddit, he did this on Reddit. He responded with, the agriculture sector is important. With more productive seeds, we can avoid deforestation and help Africa deal with the climate difficulty they already face. It is unclear how cheap biofuels can be, but if they are cheap, it can solve the aviation and truck emissions. Through Gates, land acquisitions have already received significant attention. He is by far not only the wealthy non-farmer who's been snapping up agricultural acreage. Farmland tends to continually accrue value at a faster rate than real estate or stocks, making it a smart investment for those who can afford it, even if they are planning to cultivate it themselves. As a result of these investments, nearly 40% of U.S. farmland is now owned by non-farmers, who rent it out to agricultural producers. The portion of the land that isn't owned by farmers vary widely regionally. In some areas, almost 80% of agricultural land is held by non-operators. You know what? I'm going to write this down. Farm stock div. Okay, I'll write that down. Well, I'm going to think about it. Actually, let me think about this. I just thought of this in my head. It's like, I don't want to buy farm real estate, but I'm curious if I were to own like a farmland stock or invest in like multiple farms that actually do make a profit and maybe get like a little dividend back for me investing in them like weekly or monthly, I would consider doing that. Because I do put a lot of money into, I mean, I have multiple funds that I put money into, and I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of farm dividend investing. So that way, you know, because obviously I want to get my beak wet. I want to, because when you think about it, if you invest in like a S&P 500 ETF or a Vanguard ETF, I mean, each stock is 150. I mean, some are expensive, but like the average, like the VIG or the VNG or whatever, it's a Vanguard stock. That's like 100. It's an ETF. It's like $156 a share. I mean, you can do incrementals, like a minimum of $5 a share, but it's expensive for the whole stock, and you get like only like a 2% dividend every quarter, which is, you know, like, I don't know, something cents. It's like between like 20 cents and 99 cents a share. You get every quarter, so like $4 a year. And my thought is, baby, if there is money in investing in farmland or in farm stock, depending upon what that portfolio consists of as far as farms, that would be worth doing. And that the American people, instead of investing in T-bills, like treasury bills, which are fucking garbage at this point, or bonds, which are even bigger fucking garbage, investing in your own farm, your own land, something that can get behind, like if a farm wants to IPO and makes its money off of being, or, you know, gets like I'm a sustainable farm, I treat the animals well, I do this and this, I don't dry up the soil, I'm good for the region and the community around me. Invest in my farm, and for every, I don't know, $1,000 that you invest, you get like a 2% dividend, or something like that. And I could see that. I would be interested in that. The question is how does your stock value accrue, or does it sit fixed? Like it's worth $1,000. You have $1,000 bond. It's like it's worth that. It'll never go up or down. And here is your 2% dividend that you get either every month, every quarter, or every year. Depends on the farm. I'm just curious. That's something I'm going to research today. I can't think of everything, but that I'd like to do. That interests me actually. Let's continue on with this article, and then I have some things that I wanted to, these bullet points that I want to touch on. So we ended with portion of the land that isn't owned by farmers varies widely regionally. In some areas, almost 80% of agriculture land is held by non-operators. Not all these owners are American. In fact, the portion of farmland that is foreign owned has grown about 60% in the last decade, from 22 million acres in 2009 to 35.2 million acres in 2019, which is around the size of New York State. Through the trend, finally, we got out of Rhode Island. Though the trend is certainly alarming, so far foreign entities still own a relatively small fraction of national farmland at about 2.7% of the total. The shift of farm ownership to non-farmers and foreign entities has some very real implications for farmers, rural communities, and the environment. For one, it has pushed up the price of the farmland. In 1970, the average acre of American farmland cost about $1,000. That's adjusted for inflation. Okay, so this is adjusted for inflation. In the subsequent 5 decades, the price has more than tripled to $3,160 per acre. That means that the median, this is 2021 money. We're 5 years away from that now. And prices, look, at the end of the day, like in reality, per year, inflation's skyrocketed. It's more like 40%. 30%, 30 to 40% in a lot of areas. Inflation's doubled. In the subsequent 5 decades, the price has more than tripled, $3,160 an acre. That means that the median 444 acre farm that would have cost $444,000 in 1970 is now worth $1.4 million. This hasn't been helped by the fact that farmland area in the U.S. has fallen by 25% since mid-century. This is a good article. As the value of farmland has skyrocketed, small-scale and beginning farmers have been priced out from purchasing their own land or even affording leases. In the absence of smaller buyers and lessees, the largest, wealthiest operations have been able to hoard land. As things stand, just 13% of operations rent or own 75% of the U.S. farmed cropland. That's another thing. Is there was talk, or I believe there was a ban or something to that extent, about not allowing private hedge funds or firms, private equity firms to purchase individual homes. Like you could buy like all kinds of like mortgage bonds and other things like that, but then they were started to buy actual homes, singular homes, and leave them on their books and things like that, and just become like a big rental firm or whatever, and just drive their portfolio. Whereas that home could have been purchased by, somebody who needs a house, and by doing that, they have the cash. So these private equity firms can just buy up a house and pay cash, and just all the other bidders, the single family bidders, they just get priced out. Well, I think that was like a ban or something like that, either proposed or put in place. Well, when it comes to real estate like this, that should include farmland. Farmland should be purchased by people who want to farm, who want to make farmers, not the private equity firms. Or whatever they plan to do with it. Anything that discourages community-based stuff, I'm pretty much against it. So there has to be talk about that or action on that. I don't want private equity firms owning farmland. I really don't, unless they are doing the farming. If they're just renting it out, I don't want a nation of renters, and I don't want a nation of rented farmers. I just don't want that. I want people to own the dirt. Especially these people that are getting uprooted because of these fucking data centers. I don't want these data centers just because we're going to suck up a huge amount of power. We're going to throw you out of your beautiful Georgia home that you grew up in, and you basically are going to die in that house. Well, not today, because we need fucking AI chips so that we can, speed up the technology, the data that we're processing. Maybe for good, maybe for not so good. But we don't care. We are going to eminent domain, and we're going to plow your house over, and we're going to give you less than what the house is worth. I think that's bullshit. And I would Ruby Ridge that shit. I would honestly be like, get the fuck off my property. It's not happening. If you bought that land, you bought that house, you own it. If you have a mortgage, that's your property. If you own the house outright, that's your property. I'm sorry. To me, it's against the Constitution in so many ways. But I think I'm deviating here. I want to kind of try to stay on point. Do the best I can. The foreign land ownership, I'm going to talk about that. Foreign land, I'm going to repeat this paragraph here. Foreign land ownership contributes to the same issues, plus on top of them, local farmers often patronize their neighborhood communities, cooperatives, grain elevators, and processors, supporting regional economic growth and job creation. Foreign entities, in contrast, might be more likely to direct their resources towards their own interests, taking those jobs and economic opportunities overseas instead. That's a proper point. I'll give them that. Perhaps even more alarming than the extraction of wealth is the extraction of food. A foreign entity could purchase farmland with the intent to export the products grown on that land out of the country. If this is executed on a large enough scale, it could seriously undermine national food sovereignty. True. They buy up all the farmlands, and then all that food gets exported out, and none of it goes to the people of the mainland? Absolutely not. I'm 100% against that. Unfortunately, there are reasons to believe if that is an actual thing, I'm against that. That should not happen. And if that was to be true, that farm should be seized by the federal government and put back on the market, because I think that is a violation of national sovereignty and national security. I think it's a major problem. And yeah, I think it is an arrestable and seizable offense. There should be some fine tuning on that phrasing, but Yeah, no, that's a red flag for me. Unfortunately, there are reasons to believe this trend could intensify in the coming decades. Currently, more than 80% of the U.S. farmland is owned by someone older than 55, and 50% is owned by someone older than 75, meaning that about 400 million acres of land will change hands in the coming decades. If investors and foreign entities are able to outbid farmers when that happens, we could see a rapid shift towards even more non-farming landowners. So the National Farmers Union proposes the following legislation solutions to help prevent this outcome. Okay. All right. So they've already got some of this stuff written down. Is it on my list? Yes. Ban foreign entities from purchasing farmland. That is 100% on point. I do not think anybody who has not, I don't want it to be, ban foreign entities. Period. If you are farming in this country, you farm for food in this country. All right, I understand that is your main goal. All right, if that food is grown here, yes, absolutely, it should be sold here as well. I understand there's an import-export policy and things like that, but at the end of the day, I think if you are an American citizen, and forgive me if I'm speaking, if people that are listening maybe in other countries, I'm constantly saying American, take these policies and just put your country in there. Like if you're in England or you're in the Netherlands, I specifically said those two. And these policies should also be applying to you. Like you should have, if you live in the Netherlands, yeah, only people from the Netherlands, Netherlands citizens, Danish, I think they're Danish, Dutch, whatever. They should have, the rights to their farmland. Those are the people that those are the people who live there. They take pride there. Yeah, they should be the owners. It's not like just buying a home in the United States. It's different. You come from overseas, you want to buy a house here, and you have the ability to live here. That's different. Farming is different. Farming is very different. You are supplying something. You have a responsibility to grow food, not only for yourself, but for other people. I think the interest of that country, that being ours, the United States, I think should be priority. If you're going to have, a giant acre farm, your intent to distribute, your intent to farm and do all these things should be ultimately to the benefit of the United States or ultimately to its local community. So foreign entities that are caught trying to buy farmland for foreign interests, putting up questionable, like if you buy up farmland, you put up crops or whatever, but it ends up turning into like a data center, or it ends up being something of questionable national interest, that should be seized. If you are a foreign entity buying farmland near a sensitive American site, such as like nuclear missile silos, which has happened, though that sale should be, first of all, it should be caught before the sale goes through. And number two, if it's after the fact or if it's already existing, if it's of national security and ultimately if it's of concern to the local folk, sorry, national interests only. National interests only. You gotta go. Sell that fucking thing or we're gonna seize it. You could sell it for whatever price you want, or whatever the market economy, the current market value is going for, but you have to sell it to Americans at that point. I'm sorry. You can't just sell it to the federal government. You can't sell it to another private equity firm. You got to put it up for sale so that somebody can buy it. An American. Prohibit foreign entities from participating in federal farm programs. 100% agree. Offer incentives to farmland owners to encourage them to sell to farmers and aspiring farmers. Okay. Protect farmland from further development. That's kind of just generic, but okay. Provide incentives to non-farming landowners and renting farmers to encourage them to invest in conservation practices. Sustainable farming. Yes. And then I'll go through my list and see how it compares. Ban foreign entities from purchasing farmland. You've already said that. That's just, why the fuck did you write that there twice? It literally just, it's in there again. Prohibit farm, but yeah, okay, so this
whoever put these bullet points in clearly did not realize that they were doubling their efforts here. Yeah, so discourage the concentration of... Okay. Discourage the concentration of land ownership and off-farm ownership via graduated land taxes and similar limitations. Okay. So there you have that. Here's my list. I'm going to keep the... mine's definitely different, but I can explain it since I wrote it. So sustainable farming. Sustainable farming meaning that the environment... There's factory farming, which I understand we have a lot of people, we have a lot of mouths to feed. But sustainable farming is absolutely doable. It can be expanded. To what degree, I don't know, but it can be encouraged. Now, sustainable farming, meaning that the soil can be replenished, the water is healthier, the animals that occupy that land are healthier, are more free range. Oh, that was the other thing, was the culling herds. I want to talk about that, culling herds. This is fucking wild. So sustainable farming, anything that protects the soil, protects the animals, protects the environment. Yes, absolutely. That should be researched on how to do things better. But ultimately, more sustainable farming leads to a healthier community in general. So there's that. So tax reduction in farming. I don't know what the tax laws are around farming, but in my opinion, if you are a 100% focused farmland, you only sell to Americans. All you do is you have a sustainable farm. You sell to your local community and to your country only. You do all these lists of guidelines that ultimately you are a sustainable farm and you do everything the right way, I guess you'd say. Why are you paying any taxes? So ultimately, I don't want to give you tax incentives because I don't like the idea of like paying somebody to do something. Like, I'm going to pay you this much money to produce soybeans. Like, can you do that? Okay, fine. That's one option. But ultimately, if you just are running a sustainable farm that is healthy for the environment, and that gets its yearly audits and passes and is not cruel to animals and offers a wide variety of free range and healthy farming practices, why are we taxing you? When you provide a vital good to the American people or to your own country, why are you paying taxes? To the extent that you are already. Why is there a reduction or an elimination? I understand there's things like property taxes or whatever, but I mean, if this is your livelihood, why shouldn't you deserve some breaks? Huge breaks. Because farming is hard work. Hard work. I'm sitting here in a sport jacket drinking fucking iced coffee. Farming's hard work. Right, Chase? Right. He's over there. Humane animal treatment and tax advantages for that. So there obviously has been a lot of questions about how animals are treated when on certain farms, especially factory farming, their quality of life. I understand that. I understand that there's a lot of work to be done on that field, but honestly, tax incentives for treating animals properly, whether you're on a farm that is, when you do like factory plowing, the amount of animals that can be killed when you're out on the prairies and stuff, ground nesting animals, reptiles, birds, small deer. Yeah, you can really fuck some shit up when you're out there. I mean, when you plow a field, a lot of times you'll see vultures just everywhere. But the reduction in that could possibly offer some tax incentives if you can. More towards the factory farming if you want to go towards sustainable farming or proper treatment of animals in a factory farm setting. If they find that you are treating the animals far more humanely, there can be some tax incentives there. If you have to be factory farming. The other one that I had, let's see, it was direct consumer farm program. So I don't know if this exists, but I think it's a novel idea. I think it's an interesting idea. Like, say you live in a state and you want to know like what farms can I buy from, like a farm stand almost. Like I like the idea of really promoting community-based direct to consumer. This should be amplified to the nth degree. That the idea of like you buying from your local farmlands. Like I want to buy from the Meadowbrook farm, and I don't even know if that exists, but like that is, you offer some type of tax break if you're gonna sell to your local community. Instead of getting shit from, like, if you live in Wisconsin, but your meat's coming from Utah or Colorado, it's like, no, but you can get it here. You can get it here. There should be some type of program set up so that people can, obviously, they can drive 20 minutes to the farm to get their food instead of going to the grocery store to get their food. There's got to be some work done in that avenue so that you're keeping all of those funds, the food, the community, everything localized. I would really like to, that interest needs to be heightened and promoted. An auditing website. So, like, for example, when a restaurant restaurants get annual health inspections, and those are publicized. Those are published. You can find those. There was, so when I was, when I worked at a diner, and across the street from when I was a kid, when I was like 16, 17, 18, I worked at a diner. It was a nice little diner. Seated like 50 people. It was clean. It was. And we always were audited in the 90s. We did well. I mean, there's always some things, like there's some this and that, but it was a clean restaurant. Very clean. The diner across the street from us always failed. Always failed. Chinese restaurants always took a beating too, but whatever. What are you going to do? There's an audit website, or there's an auditing that's just published. You can see that. So it's like, oh, I'm going to eat at this place. I wouldn't do it, man. They got like a 30 on their inspection. Oh, well, okay. Getting food poisoning is a big deal. It takes you out of work for a few days, for sure. So as far as farms go, yeah, there should be an auditing program for if you are, if your local community has a farm that is not doing good, could be better, like the poor treatment of animals, pesticides for days, and bad land management. There should be an audit of that, and that audit should be publicized because it's a farm is part of your community, and the public should have, to a degree, access to the information. I don't want like citizen journalists running through the cornfields per se, but ultimately there has to be some knowledge of what's going on. There has to be an audit there, and then the public should see that and have more direct, easier access to that information instead of having to rummage through whatever is currently out there. So I think an audit website that should be highly accessible, and that should be promoted. The agricultural gag laws, that should be revisited to some degree because that is concerning. Now, an agricultural gag law, it's an anti-whistleblower statutes designed to prohibit or restrict the recording, photography, or undercover investigations of industrialized farming operations without the owner's consent. These laws primarily target activists and journalists, criminalizing actions such as gaining employment through misrepresentation, trespassing to record, or failing to report observed animal abuse within specified time frame. Types of restrictions: bans the recording of images or sounds at facilities without owner consent. Agricultural fraud prohibits entering or applying for jobs at facilities under false pretenses. Rapid reporting mandates that any recorded evidence of abuse be turned over to law enforcement within 24 hours. Supporters argue these laws protect private property, biosecurity, and business operations from economic harm. Okay? Understandable. While opponents contend that they are designed to hide animal cruelty and violate free speech rights. This is where factory farming really gets its bad rap. And understandably so, because like I said earlier, the protection of animals, the humane treatment of animals is something that, well, you can taste it in your food. There is a lot of concern for ultimately how the animals are treated when on the farm, because yes, I get it. They're bred for consumption, but ultimately there has to be some focus on that. And I know the agricultural gag laws, that's a toughie. But the animals, if there's no transparency, I'll put it to you this way: if there's no transparency whatsoever, then they're going to get away with whatever they want, whatever they're doing. I don't want animals being tortured. I want the process to be simple, as simple as possible. They go out, they graze for a couple of years, and then they have one bad day, and it's quick. Like, that should be the process. And on sustainable farms, it's very doable. Very doable. Not only doable, but that's how they operate. So this is the agricultural gag laws need to be revisited to some extent, for sure. Like, honestly, if a farm is doing bad, they need to be, like I said, there should be an audit program. It should be published, and there you go. Okay, I understand that it's shocking to see that imagery. I understand that. But this animal, look, when you're eating food, you're eating chicken, you're eating steak, you're eating pork, these animals are, at the end of the day, being broken down so that they can be delivered to you in a way that you can consume it. All right? That's the truth, because a lot of people can't farm or won't farm, or just, they can't handle the understanding of that. So, the imagery of it. But at the same time, they have to at least know, if you're not going to hunt or anything like that, that the food you're getting is, it followed a humane practice. This animal did have a good life. This animal did hang out and really didn't have to do anything. It didn't have to work. It just basically hung out and ate grass or ate bugs, and it just lived its life for what its purpose was, and it ended your plate. A smile on its face, ultimately. Now, and I wouldn't restrict, like, say, and anybody can buy these animals. So if a processing firm wanted to buy these 60 cattle for processing for meat, or if somebody wanted to buy those 60 cattle for putting on a humane farm so that they can just live out their lives, like, they didn't want the animals killed, so they just bought them. Whatever. If they're willing to pay the money to save those 60 cows, or one cow, I don't see why that shouldn't be allowed. I don't see that. I don't have a problem with that. Like, somebody says, I really like that little cow right there, and I don't want it to go to slaughter. Is there a price I can give you to buy that cow? Okay. I understand that. I think there should be some consideration for that. But the agricultural gag laws need to be revisited, specifically in conjunction with the auditing system, so that people get more, because without transparency, there's no change. That's the problem. There's no improvement. There has to be transparency in order. It's error correction. It's when you speak in public, or you speak in a debate or in a conversation, there's error correction. There's no destruction. We don't bury you. We don't Dresden you. We work with you to improve the situation so that you are in cooperation with the current expectations of how a farm should be run. We don't ostracize you, unless what you're doing is absolutely disgusting. But at the same time, if your farming situation, whether you're a corporation or a single farmer, can be salvaged, let's do that. Let's just not go straight to cancel. Let's see if we can improve the issue first. Just my thought. Ultimately, so we'll see. This one's gonna require work. Destruction of removal of hormones, drugs, and pesticides. So there's a lot of hormones and drugs in our food, antibiotics and shit like that. Things like, and especially with like dairy. Like, why are we homogenizing milk? Like, when I drink homogenized pasteurized milk, my stomach does not like me.
When I drink raw milk, my stomach looks at me and goes, why don't you give me more of this? This is the most delicious, fantastic, nutritious thing I've ever had in my goddamn life. Why aren't you giving me more than this? And why the fuck does raw milk cost $7 more than pasteurized, homogenized milk? Raw milk in a titty glass mouth. Pasteurized, homogenized milk, titty, boiled, this, that, and the other thing, packaged, preservatized milk, and then finally grocery store glass mouth. It fucking, and why does that process cost $7 less? If a half gallon of milk is $3 or whatever, but a fucking raw milk costs like $9-10. Can we, the promotion of raw milk, that healthy gut bacteria, I mean, really just putting a damper, like they really did a good job at you know, putting a negative connotation on like the raw milk. Because I can tell you this, there's no issue with it that I've seen, that I've tasted. It doesn't, okay? It really doesn't. And first off, it's fantastic. Like, it tastes incredible. It's incredibly rich. It's creamy. It's nutritious. The bacteria that's going into your system is almost needed. It's great. I love it. And also the hormones that they put into the food to almost to the point where it's killing the actual and natural enzymes and all the other good stuff that's in that food. Therefore, you're literally, it's almost like we're creating food that you're going to starve to death. If you eat like 4,000 calories of this food, your body is still starving to death because it's not getting the proper nutrition that it requires on a daily basis. This is concerning. The pesticide thing is also an issue. The glyphosate and all these other things that are going onto the plants and into the animals, that has to stop. We have to figure that out. There has to be a more sustainable way of doing that. There has to be smarter people put into play of how do we ultimately make this stuff less of a problem on the farmlands with the hormones and the drugs and the fucking pesticides and the fattening of the animals. It's like, I get it. If you want like a nice juicy fat ribeye, that's one thing. But if you want a lean cut of meat, is there something we can do to rectify that problem? Destruction of farm property. So this is something like that concerns me because ultimately we have people, you know, that are just destruction-based people. They just like to destroy. There's a lot of organizations and questionable, they've been declared terrorist organizations that all they do is destroy. They're just angry and they just want to break shit to prove a point. And I'm going to tell you this. To me, farmland is, so if you destroy something on conservation land, I think it's like a federal crime. If it's like a national refuge or a national land or whatever, and you do something, it's a federal crime. I think farms should get some type of protected status where or state status, where if you go onto farmland and you destroy a tractor, you burn down a crop, you burn down a field of crops, you attack the landowner while they're doing their thing, or you burn their house down, or something that ultimately slows or stops the production of food on a farmland, that compromises it, it should be either a state or federal crime. Like, it should be a severe elevation of crime. To really be like, if you go onto that farmland and you do this, if you destroy somebody's tractor, not only are you paying for a new tractor, but you're going to fucking federal prison. Like, something to that nature. It has to be, like, to discourage. Like, if you rape a kid, like, the same thing. Like, you should be fucking chemically castrated, and you should get a significant prison sentence. If you, like, felonious sexual assault, you're just a bad egg. Like, for example, there are people that I'll jump on this and then I'll get back to my point. I knew a guy who was a piece of shit. I've talked about it in the past. All right, you can go and look at it. There's an art that I did a 2.5 hour thing about it. Well, I didn't know at the time, but I know now.
multiple victims under the age of 13. If you get, and this is my thought to that process, and then I'm going to move on. You touch a kid like that, traumatize a kid like that, you should be chemically castrated. All right, so that you have no sexual urges down there. If you do it again, you should. The second time you rape a kid, you should be put to death. That's it. You've already robbed somebody of their innocence. Anytime you rob somebody of your innocence, yeah, like that, chemical castration. Second time, death. You've already like you're fucked in the head. You're gone. You're gone. You're done. Okay? These children are protected status. Period. Same thing goes with farmland. If you sabotage farmland, if you ruin American farmland in any way, shape, or form, it should be a heinous crime. The production of food is important. So if you do that, it should be like a heavy state or actually a federal crime. Destroying tractors, burning down crops, things like that. It should be like, if you do that, you understand there's no going back. It's a like major conspiracy to destroy farmland or means of production. Yeah, no playing games. Like a serious farmland act should be considered. Farmland is important, and it should be taken seriously on every level. Reduction of outside influences, and yes, absolutely. So this was discussed by this NFU news bulletin. Yeah, you have to be an American citizen, a green card holder, in order to own farmland. If you're a green card holder, basically, or one of those people that has state or United States protected status, like you're here, you can do business, and you want to start your own farm, okay, cool. Well, you've got rules. If you're not an American citizen at this point, if you're not an American, you've got rules to follow, because we can always pull your card. If you are a card holder, protected status, you've got to follow rules. You gonna start a farm? Cool. You're selling to the community. You're selling to American people. You are selling to the local, and you are farming only. All right? You're basically Letterkennying it. All you are is a farmland and nothing else. That's what you do. If you don't do that, if you start deviating from that, and that food starts shipping overseas or whatever have you, you're following outside those guidelines. Your protected status, your card status in the United States is immediately revoked, and your farmland is seized. Seized. Gone. Out. If you are convicted. That's it. No playing games. Farming is so important. If you are to be found to be working farmland on the behalf of a foreign national, same thing. American farming should be for American. Okay? Unless you are an American citizen, you can obviously sell it to a conglomerate who's going to send that food overseas because, import-export laws and things like that. Okay, fine. You're following the rules. But these rules have to be in the best interest of the local, state, and federal American people. That's it. Sorry. Got to protect your own. That's what it should be. What is this? Farm stock dividends? I think I just talked about that. Yeah. Farm stock dividends. Investing in farms. They need money. They need money, and you should be able to promote or build them up. A community of people who own stock in a local farm that allows that farm to flourish and have maybe a share program. Why not? If they want to, it's like, we need to raise a little bit more money if we want to bring sheep in here and produce lamb, or we want to make fucking quinoa, or we want to add these things, but we need a little more money for the community, so we'll do a share offering program, and they'll get a quarterly dividend, and they'll get like $1 per share, and knowing that their food is being grown here, being sold here, and we're following all the rules of the share offering program. And it's a way for the farm to make some money, and it's a way for people to Number one, have pride in their community, and number two, make a little money. Because eventually it will pay out. But I've already discussed that. And final thought is the culling of the herds. This is something that's been a serious problem. Why are we culling herds that where if a herd gets infected by something, but the healthy ones are still kicking around? Why are we killing off the healthy ones? The ones that grow the immunity to the flu or whatever the frig it is. Why are we killing them as well? Why are we culling that herd? Because all you're doing, number one, is you're hurting the farmer. Number two, you are, and the insurance policies for killing off the herds, it's like, fuck, give me a fucking break. We should be promoting and incentivizing them to keep the herds that are healthy alive. Because you're driving up the prices every time you do that. If there's like an avian flu or something like that, and then all of a sudden you kill off like 60,000 chickens or something like that, and now all of a sudden you just drive the price of eggs up from like $1.29 a dozen to $6. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Really? No, the culling of the herds, the healthy ones should live. The healthy ones should live. Obviously, a sick animal that can't recover, unfortunately, yeah, that's one thing. Like when they put down horses, horses got 2 broken legs. It's never going to be the same. It's literally going to die. It's going to die. Or chickens that are, they've got fucking avian flu, they're probably going to die. Okay, fine, that's one thing. But like what they did in Canada with those ostriches, just basically murdered all those fucking ostriches. But Canada's a shit. Canada sucks. It really does. And when I ever say a country sucks, I am telling you this from a governmental perspective. Okay? I'm telling you this from a governmental perspective. When I say a country sucks, whether it be England, Israel, Germany, France, Spain, Russia, Australia, Canada, the United States, Brazil. When I say a country sucks, most of the time, I'm talking about the government. The government is always the bigger problem because the government is the thing that just gets bigger and bigger and more oppressive. They're usually the problem. Okay? So that's when I use, just for the record, if I say a country sucks, it's normally not the people. It's usually the government that causes all these problems for the people. And that's where I stand on that. Culling of herds, healthy herds, why are we doing that? We want healthier animals so we can produce healthier food and keep the purchasing and the farming of it less expensive. Okay? That's important. So that needs to change. And obviously the antibiotics aren't working. These viruses and bacteria, they grow an immunity to it, and just the problem becomes bigger and bigger. Antibiotics kill off, in humans especially, when you go for like a minor surgery or like a dental procedure, they remove your wisdom teeth. Afterwards, they give you like an amoxicillin. I understand they do that, but you don't get your wisdom teeth removed like 36 times. You get it done once so that there's no bad bacteria going into your system. Yeah, and it kills off all the good bacteria in your gut, but you can rebuild that. You can rebuild that. But you're constantly doing this to the animals, and what are you getting on your plate at the end of the day? So, keeping the healthy herds, not filling them full of drugs and pesticides, and ultimately keeping the healthy ones that have survived is important. I think ultimately important for the continuation of healthy food, farm to table precedent that we need to set here in the United States and any other country that wants to follow these rules. These are the solutions that I want to offer instead of just complaining about it and being like, this is a problem. These are some things that I want to bring to light that I think could be helpful. I want factory farming if it's sustainable, if it's good for the animal, if it's good for the people, if it's good for the community. These are the things that I want to bring to light. And I'm going to try to do that each time I talk about these subjects so that it just doesn't seem like I'm bitching, moaning, and complaining. I want to be like, this is some of the things that we should be doing in order to make this situation better. Okay? So, there you have it. Those are some thoughts I had about ultimately farming, because I I like to improve things, not only in myself, but in the community around me. And if farming can be improved, which I think it can, these are some actions that we can take. That's something I'm going to research as far as the stock thing, that maybe would be better off. You know, there's some ones that are taking place right now, for sure, on a state level, but I would like it to become more of a situation where American farms are owned by Americans or people with American interests, and it's never at a detriment to the community, the local, state, or federal. And I think that's where I'm going to kind of bring this home here. So if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can hit me up through my website at positivesarcasm.com. You can hit me up through Instagram at positive_sarcasm. Shout out to National Farmers Union, NFU.org, for bringing up some of the information that I kind of wrote down. There were some things that are not on this list. You can also email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com, if you want to talk about this further. If you wanted to discuss it on the podcast, actually, you can be a guest of this podcast if you have some ideas that you are willing to share. I'll just simply have you sign a waiver when you sit down for recording purposes. But guests are allowed. I do have a separate chair and microphone already ready to go. So if somebody wanted to sit and chat, you're more than welcome to about these items. So there you have it. So contact me through my Instagram, my website, or through my email. And if you want to listen to this podcast, it's available anywhere where podcasts are downloadable. Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Substack, also downloadable and streamable directly from my website, positivesarcasm.com. Anywhere where podcasts are downloadable, generally, it's available. If it isn't for some reason on your platform, let me know. I'll see if I can add it. You can also listen to it, watch it on YouTube and Rumble. Just look for Positive Sarcasm Podcast. There we go. We're back, baby. I guess. In the meantime, thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. And hopefully I'll catch you all next week. I'm feeling better. Okay, there we go. Thank you all for listening, watching, subscribing. Catch you all very soon. Recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio, alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast, for entertainment purposes only. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation.